Hi, Paul here from Results Personal Training, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the rolling pattern. Why do we do the rolling pattern? What is the rolling pattern? And I just don't get it. Why are we rolling around? So rolling is probably one of the most important things that you can do for your body. The reason why we move, it's a pattern. It's not a part-based system. So I think we're moving away from this idea of parts where we isolate a body part and we try and work on a muscle and what have you. It doesn't kind of work like that. Our bodies move in patterns and move in shapes. So we have a squatting pattern, a bending pattern, a lunging pattern, a pushing pattern, a pulling pattern, and a twisting pattern. Now it's these patterns that got us where we are today. All right, they're very complex patterns, but they essentially took us from squatting down to cook by the fire, bending and building shelter, pushing and pulling and spear throwing. And it's those patterns that we really need to nurture and nourish. And the rolling pattern is really the most foundational of all of those patterns, other than breathing. Because the rolling pattern is the thing that ties your body together. That's why with kids, you see, their first major milestone, have they rolled yet? Because that is a sign of them tying their systems together. They are preparing their bodies for movement. And what you're doing when you're rolling is you're firing contralaterally. So your body's kind of got this X-shaped sling, like Leonardo da Vinci, that X, we have the sling that runs all the way from right shoulder down to left hip, let's say, and left shoulder down to right hip, and there is this X sling. And when you're rolling, if you're rolling from your lying on your back, rolling onto your front, you're flexing and you're bringing, let's say, your right shoulder down to meet your left hip, all right? Tying that X together. If you're lying on your front and you're rolling the other way, you're working on your extension pattern. So again, bringing, let's say, this right shoulder back towards this left hip. So you've got this flexion pattern, this extension pattern. Now, walking is the exact same thing. Walking is my right leg leads, my left shoulder comes to meet it. Right leg, hip, left shoulder comes to meet. It's running. It's tennis. So left hip forward, my right shoulder comes back to come across and meet. It's golf. It's martial arts. It's basically every single sport that we do. All right, it involves this helical patterning or this contralateral patterning that we get from the rolling pattern. So that's kind of really the benefits behind it. We've got a ton of vestibular system work. So figuring out where we are in space, working on our balance systems, which is really nourishing for the body. We've got some, if we're on the ground rolling around, we've got a lot of tactile stimulation, which is feedback for our brains. And it figures out our body sends a message to the brain, and the better the message it sends to the brain, the better the brain gives output back to the body. Where do I need to be? How do I need to move? And rolling is one of those almost reset patterns where it just feels good to roll around. It feels nice, and that's a really good reason to do it. We get a lot of tactile stimulation, we get some vestibular stuff, and we get the tying together of this all-important X. It makes you a better mover, it makes you a better athlete, it does wonderful things for you. So I'm going to quickly dive in. There's different ways to roll. You can do a roll, your head, hand up, head, tuck, eyes, chin, lead, roll, flexion roll, head goes back, arm goes back, extension base roll. We can foot on the ground, and we can roll and stretch, and the other side roll and stretch. We can flip a leg over, hold and roll back. There are multiple variations of rolling, and you just want to explore. Play with your rolling, explore it, have some fun with it, and just feel it out. I can tell you, it's the thing that I do every single day. I do it with my kids. It just feels good. All those aches and pains and what have you, after a couple of months of rolling, will totally disappear. The other advantage of rolling, it's done on the floor, and getting yourself up from the floor. If you're someone that never goes down to the floor, you start losing that, and that becomes a problem later on. You want to spend some time on the floor, and rolling does it for you. So anyway, there's my video on rolling. Have a great day. Paul.